And welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to introduce our guest for this evening. We have a wonderful interview with a first time author. The name of her book is called Dad's Special Juice: The Tales of the Schoolhouse Secrets. We have the indomitable Miss Annetta Warren with us on this evening. So I'm not going to make the introductions for her. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself. So, Miss Annetta, if you can just take it away and tell us a little bit about who you are.
You were doing so well, but I will have the pleasure to introduce myself. As you said, my name is Annetta Warren, and I am a licensed professional counselor out of Texas. I am also a licensed chemical dependency counselor, and I am a first-time author. And my book is called Dad's Special Juice. And this book is geared towards the tough conversation of addiction. Too often we have families and professionals that don't know how to open that discussions to children, to teenagers, to adolescents. My book is that avenue that's available for you to start having that conversation, that tough conversation. So, yes.
Wow. You know what, Miss Annette, that is amazing that you would think of a story in that particular way that could help our children to have these conversations. I know that mine are school age. Some of them are school age still. And sometimes it's hard trying to figure out age appropriate ways to make sure that I say things to them or I talk to them about things that are important. So can you tell us the inspiration behind your story? What made you want to come up with a way to ease this conversation for children?
So the inspiration came with me working as a program manager over a treatment facility. And I was encountered by families, whether it's over the phone or in person. How do I talk to my child about what's going on with me? And I saw that need that the families were crying out for, and I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to place my mark in life and say that I attempted to bridge that gap between addiction and educating the family. So I was very inspired by my profession. And I was also inspired just personally, growing up and seeing addiction within the family, around the family. How many of us grow up and we're told the family secret? And it's like, why didn't you just tell me? Well, I didn't know how to tell you. So, and once again, that book is going to be that avenue that families are needing now to have that tough conversation, so we don't grow up as adult and create that same cycle over and over again of secrets and addiction and wonder why we're doing what we're doing. So I want this book to help many people, many families, many professions, so we don't create this same cycle over and over again.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense, Miss Annetta. And this is going to prove to be an impactful book, I'm sure, because I know if I have children and we have tough time having those conversations, and I'm a counselor, like this is what I do for a living. I can't imagine like having to have this conversation without having that type of education or coaching behind me. So let me ask you a question without giving too much away. Your book is called Dad's Special Juice: The Tales of the Schoolhouse Secrets. So are there more secrets that are going to come? And if they are, you don't have to tell us what they are, but just maybe give everybody a hint about what's to come for this series that you have.
Yes, indeed, there are more books coming. And one thing that I appreciate about my space in writing is that not all books have a fairy tale ending, and we know that with addiction. So my books are going to get into children that are born with drugs in their bodies, children who are raised by grandparents, or children who is motherless and raised by their father and their siblings. So we're going to get into some deep, heavy stories, but relatable stories. So there is more to come. So keep on the lookout for that.
All right. She says, be on the lookout, everyone. So you heard it from the author's mouth. This book is coming soon, Dad's Special Juice, The Tales of the Schoolhouse Secrets. But what I hear the author saying is keep your eyes peeled because there may be more of these schoolhouse tales to come. So that is awesome. Miss Annette, that is really great that you would choose to honor your profession and what it is that you do in our children by providing an avenue to have that conversation. So I don't want to give anything away. I'm not necessarily the publisher. I am the editor with SL Elite. So I have been given the privilege of kind of previewing the story before anyone else. So I don't want to give anything away, but I'm really interested in the main character. So can you tell us just a small part about the main character and maybe if that person was someone special in your life, did you base them off of someone that you knew?
Okay. So yeah, the main character in this particular book is a young kid who is he's a brainy little kid, he's an explorer, and he just wants the best for his family. And when we don't understand something, he tries to take it into his own control and
Mhm.
try to fix it as a child, like many children try to do. They try to be that hero for the family, but with a he's met with the truth, and he chooses to do something with that truth. And in that choosing to do something is the very thing that helps his family. But he learns the hard way, and he triumphs at the end. He does triumph, but it's a tale that he has to go to get from point A to point B. So.
Okay. So we get to learn his journey then in this first book. Okay. So can you tell us about that process then to develop the character and the story from the beginning, the first inspiration for it, all the way to now the end where you're getting to see it actually come to life? Can you tell us a little bit about what you experienced?
Yes, sure. So my process in writing this book was a little bit unorthodox. And what I mean by that is I was sitting one day and I was doing a little training, and it was like, write a book. And I said, you know what? I know about addiction. Let me write a book. And so I wrote this book overnight, and I took it to friends and had them read it. And they was like in awe about it. Now, of course, I had some grammatical errors that needed to be fixed.
Mhm.
But it's after that process that this journey really started, because I had the creativity there. I had the idea there. Um, from that point, I had to establish, what do I do for publishing? What do I do for illustration? What do I do for copywriting? What do I do for marketing? So that's the journey that I am on right now, with learning these pockets of how to complete a book from start to finish. So I am still learning in this journey, and what I'm learning now is gonna help me for the next books that I have coming. So, like I said before, look out and be on the search for me.
All right. So can I paraphrase some of what you said? Because I believe in giving people one, two, threes. And we both know that sometimes steps don't always happen in that way. But if I can give them a one, two, three, sometimes it's a little easier. So the first thing that I heard was that you wrote about what you knew.
Yes,
Yeah. And then the second thing that I heard was that you were willing to receive constructive criticism from people that you loved and that knew you.
indeed.
And then the third thing that I heard that you do was that you went on this journey, not necessarily knowing how to get through to the end, but really
Mhm.
having a goal in mind.
Indeed, exactly. And don't be afraid to, like you say, receive that criticism. Do your research, do your homework, and ask questions. A closed
Mhm.
mouth don't get fed. We know that, and we hear that often.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to speak up, speak out, and tell your stories, because your story is needed. Too often we're muting ourselves because out of fear, not people not wanting to hear our story. No, your story is important too, and your story is needed as well. So go out and do it and make it happen.
Wow. Yes, that is good inspiration. So you gave them a little tidbit of encouragement. I'm sure you have more, but before you continue to encourage them, can you do something for me? Can you tell me what you want everyone to get, not only from your book, but from hearing your story and hearing about your process and what it took to get there? What do you want them to take away from your experience?
What I want people to take away from my experience, I think I like to break that up into different categories, for the audience that I'm writing to, just for the other authors out there or the other people who want to write. As I said before, just take that leap and just do it.
Hmm.
Um, because so many people need what you have to say, and it's valuable. um, do your research and educate yourself on that process. What I want the professionals to take from this is just having that resource on hand and having that space to start the conversations, to ask the questions, and to incorporate their client center approach with the family to help them navigate through addiction, navigate through understanding what happens to the mind and the body, to navigate how to heal
Hmm.
the family. So I wanted to make sure the professionals had that. And as far as like the parents and the families, I want them to take away that this book is inclusive. And what I mean by that is that we are not alone in this. Someone else knows my story. Someone else gets my story. Someone else understands my story. So
That's
I
good.
don't have to suffer in silence. And I want the parents to take away the education as to what the addiction is doing to the body, what the addiction is doing to the family system, period. Because addiction is not only a one person disease, it's a family disease as well.
Good.
So, in order to create that homeostasis, that balance, everyone needs to check in and do the work.
Wow.
And the last piece for the family is once again just learning about the addiction. And like I say in my books, it's not only just a story in my book. The book has a series of questions to open up the conversation about addiction, whether it's professional, the parent, and it also just have helpful tips that the person can read through and get some tips from and use them. And it, last but not least, I do have resources in the book also that you guys can reach out to. And I'm going to have my information in the book as well. If you guys have any questions, just say, hey, look, how do I start the dialogue? Or what did you mean by this? I am available to do that. So those are some things that I want for people to take away from my book.
Wow. Miss Annetta, you have done an amazing thing here because when you read this book, right, this book is a children's book. So it's geared towards children, meaning children can read it by themselves, but it's also put into a language that kind of explains what can happen in families so that it brings in the parents. And then finally, it brings in questions and resources that counselors or therapists or psychiatrists or whatever can use to kind of bring the conversation from outside of the family system, but bring it to a more person-centered, everyone-centered type environment, right? And get outside of just what's happening with your family and get help, right? So get some.
Yes.
So this is an amazing book, then, that you've put together. I'm very, very, very excited for what you're doing here. I'm excited for you as a first-time author. I am excited for everyone who's going to read this book. I know that it is going to change lives. I have no doubt about that. And I can't wait for the other books in the series too, because I want these books on my shelves, not just as a professional, but like as a mom. I want these books for my kids too. So if you could, Miss Annetta, with like the last minute and a half that we have here, if you could give a short statement of encouragement and then tell everybody how they can find your book. Now, we know that it hasn't finished being published yet. Like the physical book is not ready yet, but
Mhm.
toward when it's ready, you'll post that on your page. So tell them where they can find that at.
So yes, exactly. Once this book is done, I'm going to create a link in my professional page. My website is evolutioncws.com. My Instagram is evolution_counseling, and you can add me on there. My email address is therapy at evolutioncws.com. You're more than welcome to send me an email, questions that you may have. I am open to answering that. And later on down the line, I'm going to create another avenue, another email for strictly for the book. So be on the lookout for that as well. And once the book is out, it's going to be on various platforms, Amazon, and many stores as well. So as that comes, be on the lookout for it. And I hope that you guys can not only purchase a book for yourself, but purchase as a gift for a family who is living in silence. Purchase for a professional, your counselor, so they can have it on their shelves as well. Purchase for a family member. So this book is not only just for children, it's for everyone that needs to be educated on this particular topic.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Annetta, for joining us this evening. You have heard it from the author herself, Dad's Special Juice, The Tales of the Schoolhouse Secrets. You can find her on evolutioncws.com and on her email address, therapy@evolutioncws.com. If you have any more questions, if you can't find her there or you forget or you can't find this broadcast, you can also go to Prison Break with Shirley and Shonda. You can hit us up and we'll tell you exactly how to find that book. Thank you so much for joining us, Miss Annetta, on this evening.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. So stay tuned for the rest of Prison Break with Shirley and Shonda.